Hi, and welcome to Finding Your Way Through Therapy. The goal of this podcast is to demystify therapy, what can happen in therapy, and the wide array of conversations you can have in and about therapy. Through personal experiences, guests will talk about therapy, their experiences with it, and how psychology and therapy are present in many places in their lives. With lots of authenticity and a touch of humor, here is your host, Steve Bisson.
Thank you, and welcome to episode 96 of Finding Your Way Through Therapy. If you haven't listened to episode 95 with Michelle LaRoe-Alves, please go back and listen to it because we talked about relationship, we talked about a bunch of great stuff, and I truly enjoyed that interview. But episode 96 will be quite an update on different things. So let's start off with that intro. I just love that intro. I had someone do a voiceover for the intro and the outro, so I hope you listen to both. I do enjoy having that because I don't have to introduce myself. It feels a little more professional. I hope you feel the difference. And as we go along, I hope that we go from season 1 to season 8 and see the evolution that I truly want to see. I also want to talk about season 8 because on the week of my 100th episode, which will be on the week of May 15th, I'm going to try to have a new podcast every single day. And I would love you guys to listen to it. I'm trying to do something quite unique. I'm not going to tell you what. You'll have to tune in. But let's say we have returning guests. We have new guests, and we have people who know me, and they know me as either their friends or someone they've known for a long time. So I'm hoping you get a chance to go and listen to that because it's going to be awesome, I think anyway. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is I had a special episode in season 7. I think it was between episode 92 and 91. And it talked about a flight that I was on from LA to Boston. I'm not going to recount it per my therapist, but also because I respect myself and I don't want to really go back into it. But it was pretty traumatic. So go back and listen to it. There's no number to it because it was a special episode. And I was a little upset. I was a little anxious. I did it about a week post the flight. So you can hear real emotions. And one of the things that I want to say, first of all, before I go on, is thank you for all of you who sent notes, concerns, texts, email. I think that this was the episode I got the most feedback on ever. And people were checking on me. They didn't really ask me for stories. They didn't ask me for anything else, but hey, are you okay? I'm here for you. And this goes from listeners that I didn't know existed, frankly. And also from friends and family that I've known for a while or haven't talked to in a while, and they were checking on me, and I truly appreciate it. I'm doing much better. I hope you can hear it in my voice. It's something that was, I could still say that it is a little difficult, and I hope to continue being able to talk about it in the future. I want to give you the update that my kids are still fine. My girlfriend is fine. And I'm doing pretty much okay. I realize a few things, but I'll leave that to my therapist. But let's just say what I said in the episode about this bringing up something from the past was definitely accurate. And one of the things that I got as feedback from a couple of people who are my clients or have known me as their therapist, they said that you preach authenticity and you preach being real. You did that in that episode. And that meant so much to me. I'm not crying right now, but I do have a tear in my eye because that's exactly what I wanted to mimic. And the hardest thing in life is to be ourselves. And what I mean by that is this: we are taught socially to be a certain way. And when you're a therapist, we talk about professionalism. Coaching is the same thing. And I think that being professional is overrated. And what I mean by that is, of course, I believe in certain boundaries, etiquette, decorum, as I've said before to a couple of people, and I hope you know who you are. But I also think that being ourselves is important as a therapist. I think that the old Freudian suit and tie sitting at the top of a couch is no longer something that's going on as much. And I'm sure that there is space for that. Don't get me wrong. But, I think that the therapists that we have nowadays are much more real. And what I mean by that is they talk about things that are related to real life. And for me, I've always tried to be very authentic with my clients. And I think that by having a podcast that is as authentic has brought me a lot of good feedback. I don't ever want to change that about myself. I think that what happens is we are in a world where authenticity sometimes can be seen as a sign of weakness. I talk about a balance. And what I mean by that is this. I'm a big fan of Debbie Ford, the late, great Debbie Ford, and it's called The Dark Side of Light Chasers. If you ever get a chance, go get that book. I don't make a dime, but I'll link it in my show notes. But Debbie Ford was someone who was instrumental in my work. This was a gift that was given to me by my supervisor. This was my internship and my, whatever they call it, the other thing, practicum, I think. And she gave me that book to read. And it talks about how we can't move compulsively from one thing to another. So if we're, example, afraid of being authentic, we try to be way over professional. And that's not healthy for anyone. If you think of yourself as being strong, there's fear that you're going to be weak, and so on and so forth. And for me, I was always taught that you need to professional, you need to use the right language, you need to be using something that, is like within the books. And I think I go by the book for the most part, in the sense that I make it about the client. I work on the things they want to work on. I move them forward in what they want to do. But ultimately, I also talk about my own shit. And I think that it's important to do so. And what I mean by that is this. My clients feel like when I share a story about something that relates to what they're saying and how I worked on it, or if another client had worked on something similar and I share that story, never give names, of course, I think that makes it that much more authentic, that much more real. And so I think that what I'm going to continue preaching with everyone is authenticity, and I'm going to keep on doing that. One final note about that flight. I've been in contact with United, and I'm happy to report that they are working on something. What they are working on is to probably make some sort of message when there is an incident like that, to address the mental health crisis that may occur. And I think that that's great customer service. I'm looking forward to hearing more. I've had a few follow-ups with them. They're supposed to probably try to get to me when they finish up what they're going to introduce, but I can't really say much more because I want to be respectful. But I will say that United customer service, as much as I was not too happy at the beginning, have been keeping me in the loop in regards to changing some of these policies that they have. So I'm very happy about that. Otherwise, still going to therapy, still working on stuff, and still happy that people still talk to me in a way that they're very supportive and understand that this was not an easy thing to happen. What I've also noted is I've seen a lot of people have different reactions to it, whether it's in the media, in the news, what have you. And what I've realized is that what's traumatic to one is not to another, and vice versa. And I think that I'm the proof, and I can honestly say that I'm the proof of that. And I want to make sure my listeners know that, and that hopefully they can relate to me a little more, that if they have any more questions about it, they can ask me. But ultimately, I just want to kind of decide to be more authentic, even more on my podcast, if you can believe that. And I want to be authentic in my own life, and I'm hoping I continue doing so. Episode 97 will feature someone called Pavel Yitzhak. You want to hear his story. You absolutely want to hear his story of courage and survival and everything else. And I hope you join me then.
Please like, subscribe, and follow this podcast on your favorite platform. A glowing review is always helpful. And as a reminder, this podcast is for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. If you're struggling with a mental health or substance abuse issue, please reach out to a professional counselor for consultation. If you are in a mental health crisis, call 988 for assistance. This number is available in the United States.